As you've engaged with our ministry, you've probably heard me refer to the biblical narrative of sexuality, which is, I think, so critical in ministering in our day and age. And so you might wonder, okay, I've heard this narrative, but how do I become fluent in it? How do I have that really be my framework for how I think about sexuality? Well, for me, I think it's probably taken me a good 5 years to truly get my handle on this narrative to where it's my default way of thinking. I really have become fluent in it. And so here's some of the ways that you can do that and pursue that on your own journey. First of all, repetition. Boy, you have heard that cultural narrative hundreds and hundreds of times. You've probably heard the purity narrative. You've taught it probably hundreds of times. But how often have you heard the biblical narrative? We need to hear it again and again through podcasts, through books. A few of the resources that I would recommend, even apart from the ones that we've created at Authentic Intimacy, are books like Beautiful Union by Joshua Butler and Our Bodies Tell God's Story by Christopher West. And as you're reading these words from different authors, you're hearing the same truths expressed in different ways, and that can really help you get a handle on it. Another way that I really learned the biblical narrative, and this might take you some time, but I read the Bible from cover to cover, really looking for that narrative and pausing whenever the scripture would talk about covenant, sexuality, even using the word yada to refer to intimate knowing in the Old Testament. That helped me understand the biblical narrative. And then finally, I would encourage you to use it. Boy, as clumsy as it feels to describe the biblical narrative, the more you try to teach it, the more you try to bring it up in conversation that God actually is revealing himself through our sexuality, that really helps you get a handle on it. I've heard in the medical field, they encourage people to learn techniques by watching one, doing one, and teaching one. And I think in a similar way, we want to hear and we want to integrate it into our life, but then we also want to teach. That really helps you get a handle on it. I also let you know that at sexualdiscipleship.com, we have cohorts of leaders who are actually learning to use the biblical narrative through these kinds of means. They're also using case studies to apply the biblical narrative to how you would minister to somebody. So that might be something that you want to check out.